Hello friends, welcome to today's restorative yoga class. We are going to stay grounded and connected to Mother Earth as we flow through restorative, gentle and relaxing postures as we let go of tension, stress, fear, anxiety, and simply allow ourselves to rest in this place of trust and tranquility. When you're ready, find a comfortable seated position, rolling the shoulders back and down. And on your next inhale, we'll extend our arms overhead, finding length through the torso, joining the palms together. And on your exhale, lowering them to heart center. We'll take 3 cleansing breaths to commence practice. Slow, gradual inhalations through the nostrils and exhaling through the mouth. From here, we'll transition into some neck stretches, rolling the shoulders back. We'll walk our right fingertips over to the edge of the mat. You might like to lower your left ear towards the left shoulder, finding a nice stretch along the right side of the neck, maybe closing the eyes. From here, we'll lower the chin towards the left collarbone. Chin to chest and back to center, placing the right palm on the right thigh. We'll go on the other side, walking the left fingertips out, lowering the right ear towards the right shoulder. And this is a great way to warm up the cervical region of the spine. Chin to collarbone. Mindfully guiding your breath to the regions of the body where you're feeling sensation. Chin to chest and back to center. Keeping the palms where they are, we'll begin to create some circular motions with the upper body, moving from north, south, east to west, side to side and front to back. You might like to articulate each movement and pause in a section for a moment, or find a little bit more fluidity. It's entirely up to you, making these as small or as large as you'd like them to be. You might like to involve the head and the neck, warming up the spine. And if you're moving in one direction, you might like to switch directions. Remembering that it's more about what the posture feels like rather than what it looks like. Consciously making an effort to facilitate the breath, mind, body connection. And we'll begin to gently come out of the circles, working our way to a seated position. And from here, we'll walk our left fingertips over to the edge of the mat, this time lowering down onto the left forearm. You might like to stay here or extend the right arm overhead, being mindful to keep the shoulders open, broadening across the heart space, warming up the obliques, maybe closing the eyes. You might like to gaze up if that's comfortable for your neck. Listen to your body. Exhale back to center, and we'll go on the other side, walking the right fingertips out, maybe lowering onto the forearm, extending the left arm overhead, finding a lovely stretch, whilst being mindful to keep both sits bones connected to the earth. Feel yourself becoming more expansive, more at ease. One more breath. Exhale, gently come back to center. From here, we'll keep our right leg crossed as we extend our left leg out on an angle. Foot is flexed and the kneecap is facing towards the sky. As we come into revolved head to knee pose, Parivrtta Janu Sirsasana. This could be a great opportunity to get some props if you've got them available. Maybe 2 blocks on the inner side of that left leg, placing a blanket or a bolster on top to facilitate a level of comfort. Taking all the time that you need to set up. This is your practice. We're going to be in this posture for a little while, so really making it as comfortable as you can. And we're going to lower our left arm down onto the props, flexing the elbow and resting our head in the palm of that left hand. You might like to extend the right arm overhead, flexing the elbow and gently placing that palm behind your head. If that's not facilitating a state of relaxation, you might like to rest your right arm on your right thigh or behind your back. Making any adjustments that you need, really allowing yourself to soften into the posture. You might begin to feel sensation in the lower back, the side body, the QL region. This is a great posture to practice if you spend a large portion of your day in a seated position. Oftentimes, when regions of the body remain immobile due to lack of use or any other reason, energy has a tendency to stagnate in these regions, which can lead to an accumulation of stress, of tension. So just be mindful and compassionate. If any thoughts come to the surface, simply recognize their presence. Allow them to be. Maybe offer them a blessing. And let them go as you return to the breath. Taking one more gradual breath in this posture, and we'll begin to gently release, using your hands for support to help guide you up to a seated position. Placing the props out of the way as we get set up to take this posture on the other side. Crossing the left leg into the midline and extending the right leg out on an angle. Being mindful to keep the toes and the kneecap facing skywards. Hips are squared, grounding down through the sits bones. And finding a setup that works for you. Allowing yourself to let go, guiding yourself to this moment with the breath. Taking 2 more gradual breaths. And beginning to release from the posture. Keeping the right leg where it is, we'll extend our left leg out on an angle as we set up for a wide-legged seated forward bend. If you have a bolster around, this could be a great opportunity to place it close to the groin so that you can rest the belly on top of it. Maybe adding some blankets, adding as much height as you like to really facilitate a state of relaxation where you're not going past your limit. If you're more comfortable in an upright seated position, you might like to have 2 blocks slightly out in front of you, placing your palms atop of them, really enabling you to hinge from the hips whilst remaining upright. If you'd like to take it down a notch, you might like to lower down onto the forearms, or maybe using 1 block for support to rest your forehead on, allowing your chest and your belly to melt towards the earth. Placing the forearms on the mat, palms facing skywards, is a really great way to help you relax a little more, letting go of any tension that might have been accumulating in that region. Softening the muscles of the face, unclenching the jaw, letting go. Taking 3 more gradual breaths in this posture. And beginning to guide yourself to a seated position, we will place the props to the edge of our mat. And we'll transition to face the short edge of the yoga mat. Moving with care, taking as much space as you like. We are going to set up for head to knee pose, Janu Sirsasana. It might be helpful if you have a blanket or a pillow and place it under your sits bones, under your hips. This will help you get an added bit of elevation to ease with the forward fold. Extending both legs out in front of you, we'll externally rotate our left hip, flexing the knee, placing the inner sole of that left foot on the inner right thigh, being mindful to avoid pressing it into the kneecap or the knee area, and grabbing any props that you might like. If you'd like to stay upright, it could be helpful to place 2 blocks on either side of you, allowing you to rest your palms. Maybe placing a block on the top of that right thigh, allowing your belly to rest on top of it, and placing a block on the right shin, lowering your forehead. Taking any adjustments. Really hinging from the hips so that we're stretching the whole back. And there is no right or wrong to this posture. Lean into what feels good for you in this moment. Recognizing that each day is different. Honoring how you are feeling. This is a great posture for anyone who is feeling stressed, anxious. Forward folds are a wonderful way for us to connect with our inner awareness, recognizing that we are safe and all is well. In your own time, beginning to release from the posture, using your fingers for support to help guide you to a seated position, being mindful of any props that might be around. We'll extend our left leg, maybe internally and externally rotating the hips once or twice, finding any adjustments, and we'll get set up to go on the other side, externally rotating the right hip, flexing the right knee, placing the sole of the right foot on the inner seam of that left thigh, being mindful to square the hips, and when you're ready, hinging from the hips and working on aligning the sternum, the breastbone, with the midpoint of that left thigh. Lowering down, letting go. Breathe. Seeing if you can match the duration of your inhalations with the exhalations. Maybe observing yourself softening into the posture a little more with every passing breath. One more gradual breath, and mindfully working your way to a seated position, gently placing the props aside, re-extending that right leg, maybe shaking out the legs, moving the feet, the ankles, And from here we will set up for Pashimothanasana, seated forward bend, keeping our hips as they are on the blanket. Finding any props that you like. You might like to place a bolster between the thighs and the belly, or simply use 2 blocks. If you'd like to stay upright, you might like to place them on either side of the legs, gently resting your palms atop of them. Maybe placing a block on your shins and lowering your forehead down. Settling in. Offering yourself a moment of compassion, a moment of recognition for showing up. Breathe. One more breath. And gently working your way up to a seated position, mindfully guiding the props out of the way, taking any adjustments. And from here we'll get set up for Baddha Konasana, bound angle, as we add a forward fold onto this posture. So extending both legs, we'll externally rotate both hips, flexing at the knees, joining the soles of the feet together. Legs are splayed wide. Your feet might be close to the groin or they might be further away, creating more of a diamond shape with the legs. It's up to you. And this is a wonderful opportunity to place a block or a bolster between your belly and the soles of the feet. Maybe resting your forehead on a block, lowering the forearms down to the mat, palms facing up. Or if you're seated upright, that is okay as well. Tuning into what feels good. Tuning into the breath. Taking one more breath, inbound angle, and beginning to guide yourself up to a seated position. Placing the blocks out of the way. And with control, we'll guide ourselves down onto our backs as we come into Supta Baddha Konasana, supine bound angle. Positioning of the feet are still the same. You might like to place 2 blocks under the outer thighs, the knees, helping you relax and ease into the deep stretch that you might be experiencing in the inner thighs, the groin. If you have a yoga strap or a dark piece of clothing, this could be an opportunity to place it over your eyes, helping the eyes relax. You might like to place one palm on the belly, the other on the heart space, re-equilibrating with your connection to the breath, observing the inflow of air pooling into the body and the gentle release with every exhalation. If you're using a strap over the eyes, you're more than welcome to keep it in place. We're going to transition into a supported bridge pose. So placing one of the blocks to the side, we'll guide the other block underneath our sacral region. There are a few levels of the block that you can play around with. Find one that is comfortable for you. Perhaps heel-toeing the feet a little further apart or closer together. Really allowing yourself to melt into this posture. Allowing the hamstrings to release. Feeling supported in the lower back by the block. You might like to stay still in this posture, or gently rotate the hips from side to side, finding a slight massage for the lower back. Letting go. Taking one more mindful breath in this posture. And either staying here or joining us in a waterfall pose. If you're close by to a wall, you might like to prop up against a wall. Otherwise, we're going to use our block, adjusting it as needed. We'll draw our knees towards the chest and then extend our legs skywards. You might like to extend the arms out along the length of the torso. Allowing the legs to rest in line with the hips. Tuning into the breath. You might choose to stay in Waterfall for the remainder of the practice. Otherwise, we'll set up for Shavasana, bending the knees, drawing them towards the chest, lowering the feet onto the mat, gently raising the hips and guiding the prop from underneath your sacral region, placing it to the side, grabbing any adjustments you like for Shavasana, maybe placing 2 blocks under the knees, putting on some socks, a blanket, allowing yourself to get comfortable. And when you're ready, surrendering to this moment. Feel yourself becoming one with the surface beneath you. Letting go of any distracting thoughts. Beginning to release from the external environment. And for the next few minutes, as you tune into the breath, you might like to rest in stillness, recite a mantra, or adopt an affirmation of your own. Whatever you choose, allowing yourself to rest in a space of peace and ease, knowing that all is well and you are safe. Recognizing that the opportunity to arrive in a state of equilibrium is only ever the next breath away. slowly beginning to arrive in the body. Tuning in to the breath. Becoming aware of the surrounding environment. And when you're ready, mindfully creating small movements with the body. You might begin to wiggle the fingers, the toes, gently roll the neck from side to side. And when you feel ready, stretching the arms overhead, finding extension and length across the body, and gently rolling over to one side. Staying in fetal position for as long as you like, and working your way up to a seated position, keeping the eyes closed. Take a moment to roll the shoulders back and down. You might like to place your palms on the lap. On your next inhale, we'll extend our arms overhead, stretching the torso, joining the palms together. Exhale, lowering the hands to heart center. Thank you all so much for today. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.